I told you guys we're gonna make a ton of money on Palantir, and we've been making money hand over fist, bicep over tricep. Like, look right now, take a look at my screen. I said I put $250,000 into Palantir on April 19th, and guys, I got a huge update for you on how to make money with Palantir, because this stock, it's making millionaires. It's making a lot of money really quickly. So look, on April 19th, I said I'm putting $250,000 in Palantir. I'm not sure why I got 97% likes. Should be 100% likes on that one. But April 19th, let's take a look at where the stock was basically trading at, because this is going to be very important. You can see that I spotted momentum essentially. I saw that Palantir was starting to kind of pick up some speed. It had hit a bottom here. You can even see on the Bollinger Band, it basically touched the bottom of the Bollinger Band and then boom, like real quick, we got rocket up. And now that I see Palantir really just like picking up steam, I actually added more to my position. So on April 19th, I said that, initially I'm getting into Palantir a lot more. I'm purchasing, I'm buying another $250,000. And then I made an update video basically like a week later saying that, listen, this stock is going to the moon. I just think that the stock is going to continue to rise. And we'll talk about that in this video. But on April 27th, I said, hey, continue to buy some more. And it was a little bit of a crazy, bold kind of like video and prediction because the stock was already at 113. So I was thinking to myself, like, you guys as subscribers here on this channel might think that I'm crazy, but no, I'm not crazy. Palantir has a lot of runway. Trump tariffs don't really matter. Recession concerns don't really matter, because when you look at a stock that's innovating, that actually has a good product that's sticky. Okay, what I mean by sticky is once Palantir's in the door, it's game over. They're taking all your money. They're taking all your money. Once they install AIP into the companies, they just can't get out. They can't go anywhere, and that's because sticky software, and that's actually the reason why Palantir is going up a lot as well, is it warrants a high valuation because it has sticky software. And a lot of people have asked me, is it reasonable to buy Palantir because the PE ratio is 650? Like you can see right here, it's 650. Let me explain to you something that literally no one else will talk about or explain, because most of the time, most people are very confused on this stock. They're just confused. Like, how can it be such a high PE ratio? Well, the reason why it's so high is because PE ratio is kind of a vanity metric in a way. What I mean by that is a company can increase their earnings by a lot very fast. It's not sales, okay? This is earnings, and earnings can be very small at first, and then they can obviously grow a lot as the company expands their margin and expands their profitability, right? So many companies in the past, Amazon, Tesla, right? They were basically not very profitable. In fact, they were losing money. And once they became profitable, they became very profitable. They started cutting costs. They started, growing more of their revenue. And the reason why this is kind of economics 101. It's called economies of scale. And this is what all, businesses want to achieve. They want to achieve mass production, mass revenue, big numbers, and they have to invest in that infrastructure. So for a very long time, Palantir has been investing, and even right now, the PE ratio is very high because they are still building up. They're still ramping up. That means there's a really very bright future. I don't even know how to emphasize this anymore. I've been making videos on Palantir since IPO, okay? I want to talk about my Palantir position a little bit right now because they have earnings, which means it's a very crucial time right now to be invested. You can see I'm up $264,000 on it. I have $323,000 total in market cap. And look, some of my students are asking me, is it time to buy call options before earnings? And my real answer is I'm very bullish on Palantir in the long term. In the short term, you guys already know how I feel about option buying. I'm an option seller that looks for passive income, consistent income, reliable income, and I'm typically running the wheel strategy to retire. So when I'm looking to retire and produce income, and when I'm consulting and giving tips and viewpoints, it's really around selling puts and selling covered calls, which is what the wheel strategy is all about. When it comes to buying options before earnings, I'd be cautious because Palantir is up a lot. And again, I'm bullish long term, but earnings are going to be very interesting, and the options are very pricey. Like if I show you right now the options, I'm going to tell you some of my thoughts here on a few different positions, and we'll talk about the wheel strategy and retiring with it as well. But look, if you buy a call option at 125, it's not cheap. It's worth $860. However, what I will tell you is, if you've missed out on the boat on Palantir, it's getting pricier. It's getting pricier. You should have been subscribed to the channel with notifications, because you would have seen that I got into this thing, very long ago. I've been investing in it before the run up. But look, if you're right now feeling FOMO, you can sell a put option right now, like say below the strike price. Anything below the current price of 124 is going to be beneficial for you, because then you're not buying it for the 124, you're selling a put option below. And that's how you run the wheel strategy. The wheel strategy is the only strategy that you need to retire. You don't even need a huge amount of money to retire with the wheel strategy. If you're trading a stock like Palantir is top tier, best of the best, absolutely top of the top. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I'm just trying to instill in you the knowledge here that if you want to collect a lot of income, then look for something that has high implied volatility. Palantir has excessive volatility. They have crazy volatility. It's so freaking high. Yeah, obviously you're going to collect a ton of money selling put options. So, obviously I wouldn't really go for 120 unless you really, really want to get assigned. You're like, I want to get assigned. Keep in mind, 120 is already better than the current price of 124. What I would do is I would go a little bit lower at 110. And yeah, the premium's lower, but hey, you get a better price to purchase Palantir at 110 versus buying it for 124. Palantir, they're recognized as a leader in machine learning and artificial intelligence. Of course, this company is going to do very well. They have tons of connections, very strong brand strength, very sticky software. And, just look at 2023. Palantir launched an artificial intelligence AI platform called AIP, which was adding support for natural language processing, which is its core software, right? Gotham, Foundry. And AIP lets users engage those products conversationally, which is very easy, right? If you think about how to implement, a software, how do you get, people to actually use it and understand it very fast? Conversationally, obviously. It's very easy. And I'm super bullish on Palantir overall in their government sector, but even more so bullish on their commercial use, because look, Palantir's revenue used to be mostly government. Government was just a massive part of Palantir's revenue. But recent quarters have shown that commercial revenue is growing much faster than government revenue, which is instrumental for them to grow and scale their business. So I was telling you earlier, back in April, mid-April, sell puts with everything that you got. Literally everything that you got, sell puts. Of course, pay attention to risk management. Of course, be smart with your asset allocation. Don't go 100%, but put in some serious money like I have, because this company is going to the moon, and it has proven to be the case. Now, of course, I'm also bullish on the government contracts, like we talked about the commercial sector, super bullish on that, but government as well. Most of Palantir's government contracts, they're multi-year. So what that means is they lock in a deal, 100 mil, 5 years. That contract that they have with the government, first of all, the government has deep pockets. Second of all, that contract, once it's in place, is going to be renewed in the future, and people know that. That's why the PE ratio is so high. It's as high as it is because they continue to win contracts. Those contracts will be renewed in the future. So they got government that they're growing, the government sector of their business, and commercial. So look, it's really a no-brainer to run the wheel strategy. So rather than buy the stock at these levels, because it is getting more expensive, the PE ratio is out of control. But again, PE ratio is not really the best metric. You can kind of see why the trailing PE doesn't even matter that much, because you can already see the forward PE ratio is 238. So within a year, trailing PE is what has happened 12 months, the past 12 months. Forward PE ratio is hey, expected earnings over the next 12 months, given this, what will be the new PE ratio? So that's why it's called a forward PE ratio, because it's based on forward estimates. So within 12 months, this stock's gonna go from 650 to 238. Well, can you imagine what's going to happen with 12 more months? 12 more months is going to go from 238 to 50, and then from 50 to 20, right? So it's going to become a value stock if the stock price does not go up, right? Because there's two formulas to this equation. There's price and there's earnings, right? So as earnings continues to rise significantly, you can see here 3x earnings will, on estimate rise 3x. That means the stock price is going to go up just to accommodate the PE ratio not being too low. What would happen if the PE ratio is too low? Well, basically you're not paying much money to make a lot of money. So it's not really going to be possible for the stock to get a very low PE ratio. The only way companies get low PE ratios is when they don't have any growth. So if you take a look at, maybe a company like American Airlines that has tons of debt, they're not really growing. So yeah, it's going to have a low PE ratio, which is good, right? It's a value stock, or like the big banks, like they're not growing that much because like they're dinosaurs and they're like out of date a bit. So they're not growing, whereas Palantir is growing tremendously and quickly. So to jump into the stock, it's as simple as sell puts to get in. You can go for a 30 delta, or you can simply just go ahead and do the 110 strike. And then once you get assigned, right, all you have to do is really then start selling covered calls to further generate income on the Palantir position. So yeah, I want to take a look at the technical analysis a little bit. I want to see where the stock can go just based off Bollinger Band. Like nobody knows where the stock's actually heading. Only reason I actually really noticed Palantir picking up was because I was taking a look at OptionsFi software. So OptionsFi is currently actually saying to do put credit spreads on Palantir. So they recommend like 107, 106. Now this is the small account strategy of OptionsFi, but initially like I saw it being starting to be recommended on the buy call side. So, you know, I thought to myself, well, hey, I already have a lot in Palantir. I just think it's a good time for me to add even more into this stock. So yeah, going back to technical analysis, like the Bollinger Band has increased a lot. And as you can see, it's basically expanding and accommodating for Palantir to continue to run up. But, you know, it would be pretty unusual for the stock to really get out of control here unless earnings really delivers the goods. So, you know, we'll see what happens with earnings. I think it's going to be very interesting. We're going to experience some volatility. And yeah, it's a very good time just to make money hand over fist on Palantir. So I'm very excited. Make sure you subscribe. I'm going to have more videos on Palantir, and catch you guys after earnings.